Hello, good afternoon everyone. So this is Kunal Agarwal here, and it's almost time to start a topic on odd material notes which were used in the pre-World War II and post-World War I phase. So let's wait for some time for more people to join in here. So I'll introduce myself by that time. I'm Kunal Agarwal from Mumbai. I am into stock markets and I pursue this hobby of banknotes and coin collection. So right now I am studying in depth the Austrian and German odd material and unusual note gates. And my other hobby involves collecting notes which have stamps over them. So I think we should get started here. Yeah. So as we are aware, the currency notes are also known as paper money. So the reason they are known as paper money is basically because they are made out of paper. And now you might be aware that notes have started being printed on polymer as well, polymer plastic. So the reason for that is better security for the note, longevity, the notes last longer. But there was a time when very odd materials were used for these notes as money. And I'm not even talking like centuries ago where people used to use stones as money and stuff, or there was a barter system. Not at that time, very recent 20th century. So should we get started? Let's see if someone else is joining here. Hello, is someone live? Is someone here? Let's wait for some more time and we'll begin in a minute or two. By that time, I'll just gather around all my collection. Yes, Aditya Single G, Polymer Notes. Yes, absolutely. So here we go. We'll start the session. 20th June 1914. This was the day when the World War began. World War I began on 20th June 1914. So as we are aware that war brings a lot of catastrophe, destruction, and there's a lot of things which revolve around it as well. So it is not necessarily restricted to the loss of human lives and property. When there is wars, many other things happen as well. There is a lot of poverty, famine, no food in the country, people suffer, lot of things happen. The aspect of war which we are concerned here with is the shortage of metal which happens. Let's dive more into this. So there are many reasons basically why there is a shortage of metal during wars. So the first reason could be hoarding. It was 1914, so before the World War One. At that time, coins were minted in silver, gold, and other precious metal. So as soon as war starts, people start hoarding those precious metals because, as you are all aware, precious metals are hedged against the inflation during such time of crisis. Why? Because the value remains stable. People want more of those metals. They rather lose interest in the currency value because it is just a piece of paper, the currency notes. So they would like to hold on more to the precious metals because they have an intrinsic value. So that's how the higher denomination coins started vanishing out of the markets. And after that, as I said, came in the silver prices, they started skyrocketing. Silver, gold, it started touching the sky, the prices. So again, nobody would want to spend a 5 German mark coin which has silver worth 100 German mark. Doesn't make sense, right? Yeah, so that's why people started hoarding those coins. Then came in weaponry. So Germany, we are well aware, the Weimar Republic, Kaiser William, they were aggressors. So they needed a lot of weaponry to fight the World War One. So what they did was all the nickel and copper coins were eventually diverted in the war cauldrons. So they were used to start making weapons. So eventually the smaller denomination coins also vanished from the market, correct? So finally there is another special reason why there were less coins in circulation in the pre and the beginning stages of World War One. So there was an interesting reason. It's the gamblers. Gamblers. So there was a game called Skat, a three-card gambling game. In that they used to use small change. They used to bet small coins in that. So for that the gamblers thought ki, the coins would eventually disappear from the market. Why not hold it right now? And that's how the coins started disappearing. So the coins started disappearing. There was less metal here, and the crisis people were facing was of change. Now you cannot use a 100 rupee note if you want to buy like a 50 paisa or a 1 rupee chocolate. Maybe once or twice it's fine, but what if change is disappearing from the market from everywhere? It's not like you don't have change. No one has change. So what the country thought, like, why not print temporary money? Just temporary forms, okay? So smaller notes, they were thinking on that, but by the time the local businessmen, the small towns, they got impatient. What they did was they started printing their own set of notes, paper notes, small notes, just very basic notes. They started printing their own notes just to circulate among themselves, so that they'll just take a piece of paper, write कि ये 1 रुपया है या 1 mark है, and they would circulate among themselves, and eventually it would come back to them. Correct? Yeah. So that's how the first note guild came into being on July 31st. 1914. A town in Germany called Bremen. There was the first note guild which came into being. So note guild is emergency money. Note is emergency, guild is money. In German, note is emergency and guild is money. So this is how the first emergency note came into being. Now comes the interesting part you were waiting for. How come there were notes made in cloth and wood, etc.? Don't worry, I'll show you all those notes as well, but let's learn about them first a little more. So what happened was, they thought this war situation might be temporary, correct? So what they did was they used any locally available material and started printing notes on them. That's how it began, and the quality was cheap, and eventually it used to wear out and stuff. But then they started realizing that it's not an easy job. The war is not going to finish overnight. So they started using some smart tactics to earn money. The local banks, what they did was they started using an expiry date for those notes. Also, they started making those notes very attractive. So in case I give you the note, you wouldn't spend it. It is like 1 or 2 rupees for you. You would say ki yaar, this is a very beautiful looking note. You would keep it. Others would keep it as well. That's how every town in Germany started printing their own notes, so that people don't bring up that note, and they have set an expiry limit. You collect 1 rupee ke 100 notes and bring to us, and we'll give you a big note of 100 marks, which is fine, which is still in circulation, which is printed by the federal government of Germany. So not a problem. But what people used to do is they used to store that note. And so to promote these kind of things, there were cities which started printing notes on unusual material as well, just so that people hold on to them. Some were also the case where there was actually shortage of metal. There was low locomotion of paper. Paper wasn't easily available, good quality to print. So they started with easily available material like cloth, stuff like that. So I'll not keep you guys hanging a lot. I'll just start showing you how the currency looks actually. So this is some example. These notes here are made up of cloth. I hope you can see this clearly. This is made up of linen, cloth. I'll just remove this one out for you guys. So this one, you can see the stitches here, the thread coming out here. So this one is made up of linen. You can see different varieties in there. This one is again made out of silk here, silk. This is made out of silk. Even this is made out of silk. But the interesting part on these note is that, you know, I guess you can see the reverse image here, but still there are verses of Bibles written on this note. So all of the three notes look similar, but have different Bible verses written here. And this is, what they did was, like we say, note is a representative of the current state of, the country. So these notes made up of silk, having such Bible verses, were to install faith in the people, so that they trust in God that time will change, things will change. So that's the reason why people started, appreciating these notes more. Then again, these are some different varieties of silk notes. Here, I guess you can see here. Can you see to the top here? I'll just remove one note out for you guys. Here. See, as you can see here, there is a man here, a orchestra leader, and there are animals here dancing to the tune of this man. Can you see it clearly? So this is a orchestra leader, and there are people here dancing to the tune of this guy. So what this depicts actually was a situation in Germany. What happened was the economy got so down that they didn't have time to indulge themselves in entertainment. The people after war were struggling for things like food, healthcare, basic things like that, and they couldn't indulge themselves in entertainment. So the local music hall, the orchestra hall, was converted into a animal market where they used to sell pigs, horses, etc. So that is why you can see here, this is such a beautiful symbolic, reference here, that there is an orchestra leader here and the animals are dancing. So this is to show that the town music hall was converted into animal market. So all the clothes note mostly are from a city called Bielefeld. So it is also known as a weaver's town now. And there are some other different varieties as well. Here, these notes, there's a reflection here, but all these notes, this different colors of notes, they are all made up of cloth. Again, for circulation. Even here, have a look at this beauty. So even this note is made up of cloth, and you can see stitches here. I'm sure you can see it. The stitches here, there are stitches here. So these notes were stitched and put into circulation for longer use. Otherwise, if they were not stitched, the thread used to come out and the notes had a lesser life. So that's the reason they were stitched from the side. And every note has a meaning. The reason why this has been printed on it, everything has a meaning. So we could dive into the details later. I'll show you a beautiful piece with embroidery on it. I'm pretty sure most of you haven't seen it. So this is a good example of a silk note, but the surprise is on the back side. Here. Can you see this? Such a beautiful note it is. Such a beautiful note. A piece of art. So this has been sewn by the weavers in the town. Such a beautiful note. So this has embroidery on it. So that is how they made these notes attractive for collectors, so that they take these notes. This is a 100-mark note. At this time, hyperinflation had already kicked in. So, they already made such beautiful notes so that people keep these notes and don't spend them. And once the expiry date got over, this is just a piece of cloth for them. So that's how the bank started, minting money literally. I'll give you some more examples. I'm pretty sure you would not have seen a note which is made out of wood. So here we go. Here. So this is from Austria, a town called Huddersfield. Here. This is made out of wood. You can see. It's solid wood. So again, locally available material, they took that, they started printing note guides on it. It became popular, collectible. The notes started going out, people used to order the notes, and that's how they started growing. And before we move ahead, I'll give you some more interesting examples. Just a second. Yeah. So this is a very interesting piece. This is made out of leather, deer skin leather. This is a very soft note which is made out of resin, chemical leather, and deer skin leather. Yeah. So this is from a town in Austria called Osterwijk. This is a beautifully made note which is made out of leather. So again, like I said, a scarcity of metals, lack of transportation of paper, and local authorities. Small towns started making their own notes. So this one was made out of leather. Pretty interesting, right? So there are so many materials available. So I'll just give you an example of what kind of materials were used earlier. Wood, linen, jute, and I'll give you some more examples like leather, wax. I have those examples available here, but let's keep it short. I'll show you some more if you want. And notes were even made out of coal. Can you imagine? So those are one of the rarest varieties. They were made out of coal, and as soon as the winter arrived, they used to throw those coal coins in the bonfire, so that it could at least give you heat, because the inflation at that time was such that the value for money used to wash out quickly. So if we go more deep into it, what happened was, as the war progressed and ended, Germany had to pay reparations to all the other countries. Since Germany had to pay reparations to them, they were totally in debt. And again, if you have to pay a lot of money to someone and you don't have, what will you do as a government? You start printing more money, right, on your own self. Since they started printing their own money, there lead a situation to hyperinflation. And because of hyperinflation, the value of money started disappearing. So there's a very interesting example here. So at the peak of inflation, if you went into a cafe and ordered a coffee for, say, example, 100 marks, you went inside and ordered a coffee for 100 marks. By the time you drank the coffee, ended and called for the bill, the price would have doubled to 200 marks. So this was the speed at which the inflation was growing. Before the war began, the exchange rate was around, mid-war, was around $1 is equals to 100 German mark. And by the end of this hyperinflation era, the exchange rate was $1 is equals to 4.2 trillion marks. Such was the sorry state of Germany. So, as we saw here, they had these odd material notes. There are different varieties in them as well. I could quickly, show you some of them if you want. Again, this one is made out of velvet. This particular note here, it is made out of velvet. So they had many such interesting variety, and finally they had to bring in a scholar who used to lead their central bank, and then he framed some policies for them. And with the help of that, the policy he framed was that why not have a fixed exchange rate system. So they pegged the German mark to the US dollar at $1 is equals to 4.2 trillion marks, and they started exchanging the currency at that exchange rate, and then introduced something called as the Rentenmark, which was again valued at $1 is equals to 4.2 marks. And that's how eventually the era for these odd material note guilds came to an end, and the fixed exchange rate German marks came into picture. So I guess that's it for today, guys. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the other good lectures that come up on Numismatic Academy. This is Kunal Agarwal signing off. Thank you.